Hi children, it's Ms. Emmanuel here. How are you all? I hope that you are well and that you have had a good rest over the half-term holiday week and spent some time again with family and are looking forward to getting back to a bit more learning this week. So let's think about what we're going to do this week. We are going to do a biography. We are going to write it for other Year 3 Brindley Heath families and children, and we're going to publish some of our examples in our newsletter. So you're writing for the audience of Brindley Heath families. So biography, what is a biography? A biography gives us facts about a person's life. It's written by an author who has done their research and knows a great deal about that person. And I've got some pictures there of different people, well-known people that you may have heard of, and their books, which are biographies. So written all about them by various people. You're not going to write a book, it's not going to be that long, but you're going to have a chance to write about somebody that you are interested in. So first of all, we're going to start on our writing journey, and we are going to explore, as always, as a reader to start off with. So here we are today, Monday the 1st of June. We're going to look at some vocabulary. We're going to have a read of the text together. Then we'll do a quick quiz for some comprehension, and then we'll look at exploring as a reader. Lots and lots of key vocabulary here. Inspiration, devoted, missionary, vows, nun, calling from God, humanitarian, Nobel Peace Prize, banquet, lavish, legacy and saint. If you want to pause the video for a moment and have a think about that vocabulary, if you have a whiteboard at home that you've been using, you can write down some definitions there or in your notebook or in a pad. So have a think, what do those words mean? When you're ready, start the video again. Okay, let's look at some of those meanings now. Inspiration. That means when you're moved to do something like somebody else. Somebody or something has inspired you to do something. Devoted means very loving or loyal. A missionary is someone who goes on a religious mission. Vows are like a promise. A nun is a female member of a religious group. Calling is a feeling, a strong feeling to live in a certain way of life. So a calling from God is that God is asking you to behave in a certain way or live a certain kind of life. Humanitarian, it's got the word human in there. Someone who who wants to improve life for other people, so caring about humans. The Nobel Peace Prize is a world prize for doing something excellent in terms of peace and giving people peaceful lives. A banquet is like a feast. Lavish means something very fancy. Legacy is what you leave behind. Often when people die, you think about their legacy, what they've left behind for others. Saint is a very holy person. So that's the vocabulary that's going to crop up in our biography, our waggle. I wonder if you've guessed what the theme of it might be. Some words there that are quite new to us, quite significant. Let's see if you have heard of this person. This biography is about a lady called Mother Teresa, and you can see a picture of her there. So I'll read it. You can read along with me. There is a copy of this biography on the Google Drive if you'd like to have that printed off, perhaps, if it helps, or have it in front of you as well. But I'll read it and you can read along with me. Mother Teresa was one of the most significant features of the 20th century. Significant figures, significant people of the 20th century. She felt her calling from God was to help the sick and needy people of India. Working almost until her death in 1997, she remains an inspiration to people all over the world. Early life. She was born on August the 26th, 1910, and was given the name Agnes Gonja Boiaju. Her birthplace was the modern city of Skopje, the capital of the city of the Republic of Macedonia. Agnes was raised by her mother as her father died when she was only 8 years old. Devotion to God. Agnes was from a Roman Catholic family and devoted her life to God from a very young age. At 18, she joined the Sisters of Loreto to become a missionary in India. Agnes was based in Darjeeling and had to learn Bengali, which enabled her to teach at the local school. She then took her first vows as a nun and became known as Teresa. So this is often the case, um, uh, that she was born with the name Agnes, but she changed her name when she became a nun, and that often happens as a nun. As a Catholic nun, you might take on the name of somebody else, often perhaps a saint. At 36, she felt a calling from God and went to help the sick and needy people of India, receiving basic medical training beforehand. She had very little support and often went hungry herself. She once said, "God doesn't require us to succeed, He only requires that you try." Her words and calls inspired others to join her. Therefore, the Missionaries of Charity was formed. Awards and achievement. Later in life, Mother Teresa was awarded many honours for her humanitarian work, including the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She refused the prize winners' banquet, asking that the money for this lavish occasion went to those who needed it more. She received India's highest civilian award in 1980, and Albania's international airport was named after her. Her death. She died from heart failure on the 5th of September 1997 in Calcutta, India. Mother Teresa was given a state funeral by the Indian government in appreciation of all her work. Her death was mourned all over the world. Her legacy. Today her legacy continues through the Missionaries of Charity, which now has over 4,500 nuns who care for people all over the world. The organisation runs schools, soup kitchens and homes for orphan children. All of these services are free and open to those in need. This extraordinary woman will always be remembered for the love and care she showed to many people in her lifetime. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things with great love." In 2003, Pope John Paul II began the process to make Mother Teresa a saint. Her official title given to her by the Catholic Church is Blessed Teresa of Calcutta. Okay, so we've had a look through that together. Quite a long piece, and that's a biography. I thought I'd show you a world map to give you a sense of some of the places mentioned in it. So here's England. Let's orientate ourselves. Here's England in the centre. We know that this is Europe here. So she was born in Macedonia, what was then called Macedonia, right here, near the Mediterranean Sea in Europe. But she spent, from the age of about 36, I think it said she went out to Calcutta, which is in India. So she spent a large proportion of her life living in India. Okay. Quick quiz questions for you first to check your understanding. I'll read through them and then you can pause the video again and have a go answering them. So number 1, what was Mother Teresa's calling from God? When was Mother Teresa born? What was Mother Teresa's real name? And what language did she have to learn? All of those questions are in the first page of the text. Then we've got some on the second page of the text. Number 1, what was the name of the charity she created? In what year did she win the Nobel Peace Prize? Where did she die? And what does her charity do? All the questions there, they are very quick retrieval style questions. You're just looking for the facts in the text. So pause the video again and have a go answering those questions. Okay, here's the answers. So the calling that she had was to help sick and needy people of India, and that's just over here in the text. When was she born? August the 26th, 1910. Her name was Agnes Gonja Boyaju, difficult to pronounce. And what language did she have to learn? It was Bengali. That's one of the Indian languages. Next page. The name of the charity she created was the Missionaries of Charity. She got the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She died in Calcutta, spelt differently now, spelt a different way actually, Calcutta, but that was how it was spelt at the time. And what does her charity do? It runs schools, soup kitchens and homes for orphaned children. Wonder how you got on there. Hopefully 8 out of 8. Let's explore now as a reader. Let's think about your response to that biography. How does it make you feel and think? So questions. One question you could ask of that is, what more would you like to know about Mother Teresa? What more would you like to know? There's quite a bit of information in there, but you must have other questions about her and her life. Then I'd like you to infer. That's the skill of reading between the lines, isn't it? Looking at the clues. Give 3 adjectives to describe Mother Teresa. So from what you know about her, how would you describe her? What 3 words would you give? Connect. So let's connect what we've learned from that piece of text to other things. What does the work she did, does the work she did remind you of anything? Feel. We often have a feeling as we read, don't we? How do you feel about Mother Teresa? So this is quite personal. How does knowing about her make you feel? And let's evaluate. Let's make a judgment about that biography and biographies in general. What do you think about biographies? So again, pause the video and in your book, write down the answers to those different questions, or do the instructions, give the adjectives, and then start again when you have finished. Right, let's go through it. What more would you like to know about Mother Teresa? I was thinking that I would quite like to know, since she died 20 years ago now, how has her charity continued? Has there been any changes made since she's died? Has it developed? How many people has she helped? I think the charity now works, it said, in different places in the world. So where else in the world? I mean, there's lots more to know really about it. 3 adjectives to describe Mother Teresa. I think that I would say that she was kind, generous with her time and her spirit, determined. It said she didn't eat for some time because she didn't have enough money in the early days, so she didn't eat herself. She was generous when she got a banquet when she won the Nobel Peace Prize, but she didn't want all that food. She didn't want to go to a banquet. She wanted that food and the money spent to be given to people who needed it more. Number 3, does the work she did remind you of anything? Well, I was thinking, obviously, she wasn't trained as a nurse, but obviously, like the nursing skills that our nurses at the moment in the hospitals are showing, looking after people, putting other people before herself. So there's lots of nurses and doctors around the world helping people who need it. You might think about other charities. There are lots of charities now when there's a disaster in the world, like a tsunami or an earthquake or torrential rain and flooding. Lots of charities go out, don't they? We know there's people like Médecins Sans Frontières who go out and help people where there are emergencies. How do you feel about her? I mean, I feel she's incredibly inspirational. I think, goodness, you know, someone to dedicate their lives to helping other people, that's huge. I mean, many of us, I think, help people all the time, but to actually dedicate your life and put everything in your life on hold, your family, your friends, to give to others, it's quite a calling, isn't it? And then evaluate. What do you think about biographies? I think biographies, I have to say, are fascinating to really get under the skin and understand and learn about somebody, somebody amazing, somebody interesting, somebody successful. You don't always have to like or be impressed by the person who you're reading a biography about, but you might be intrigued to know how they got to where they are, how they got to be successful. You know, I think they're quite fascinating. I would love to have had a big chat with you children all about what you felt about that biography, and hopefully you've had lots of ideas and thoughts about it, and perhaps we'll have a chance to discuss biographies one day soon together. So well done. You've had a good start to the idea of what a biography is. I would like you to have a little think about who you'll write your biography about. It could be a scientist, like the astronaut Neil Armstrong. Could be a singer like Beyonce, a sports person like Chris Froome, a cyclist there. It could be Greta Thunberg, somebody who's an environmentalist. It could be Steve Jobs, somebody involved with technology and the internet and computers, or another English sports person here like Jessica Ennis-Hill. Have a think who you'd like to write your biography about. You don't have to know really till Wednesday's lesson, but maybe you've got some ideas already. So, how have you got on with today's lesson? Have you really understood what a biography is as a reader and responded to it? And tomorrow we will look at reading and exploring a biography as a writer and thinking about what are the features of a biography. Well done, children, and look forward to seeing you or working with you tomorrow. Okay, well done.